There is a prayer that I've come to rely on over these past several years, a prayer I cherish, one that I have said many times over and over when I wake up in the middle of the night finding myself worrying, or one that I held in my heart as I marched in the streets in Minneapolis protesting the murder of George Floyd. It is a prayer I say to myself when I'm sitting in a meeting and there's a lot of tension, a lot of hard feelings, and I wonder how it's all going to turn out. The prayer goes like this: if we have any hope of transforming ourselves and changing the world, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we as a people of faith be so bold, so brave, so loving. This prayer was written by Reverend Joseph Cherry. He is a Unitarian Universalist minister who credits his Mexican grandmother with saving his life, a gay man who came out during the height of the AIDS epidemic, who lives with an invisible disability. It is from these contexts that Reverend Joseph writes a prayer for living in tensions. It reminds me that the process of transformation and change is more mundane than extraordinary. It is more about persistence than it is about revelation. He puts things together in ways that kind of jar my assumptions, and at the same time, it reassures my heart. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold. Not bold like a superhero who leaps into the fray to save the day. Nope, just bold enough to take a step. Bold enough to step into our discomfort. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we have to be brave. Not the kind of bravery that knows what to do, how to do it, and when to respond with precision and skill. No, just brave enough to be clumsy. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we have to be loving. More than caring, more than passionate, more than just simply denying hurt so we can get on with things. We have to be loving enough to forgive ourselves and others, to cultivate a heart of compassion. This prayer, called Prayer for Living in Tension, will be the source material for our next few Sundays as we explore the nature of transformation and change and our cherished wish to bring about a different kind of world for ourselves and for our neighbors. So today I want to talk about the spiritual classroom of discomfort, bold enough to step into our discomfort. So last week, I was invited to attend the opening of a community garden in St. Paul, Minnesota, my hometown. The garden is situated on an abandoned city block where an old mortuary used to stand in the heart of Frogtown, one of the most ethnically diverse and vibrant neighborhoods in our city, and one that struggles with low incomes, high rates of poverty, and the challenges and sins of gentrification. The garden is still in the making, but its goal is to demonstrate easy and affordable ways in which we can all address climate change, and the way that this pressing problem might actually help us build community, make justice. So the garden is made up of a gravel pit for the rooting of small trees that will then be transplanted into different blocks of Frogtown. There's available plots of earth for different neighbors to grow the vegetables they like to eat. There's a new tower being built for chimney swifts, in essence, a very tall birdhouse, and a long row of compost bins for neighbors to bring their food scraps to be mixed with the garden waste. A man and his wife had set up a smoker, and everyone was partaking of this really mouth-watering smoked salmon that he had made. And of course, the mainstay of any outdoor gathering, some really good barbecue. So as I sat there trying to keep the barbecue aimed at my mouth and not down the front of my shirt, I listened to my friend, who's one of the coordinators, organizers of this garden enterprise, give a tour to some Hmong and Vietnamese neighbors who had dropped by, inviting them to garden in one of the plots. My friend is white and a Unitarian Universalist. Then I overhear this sunburned white man dressed in a Hawaiian shirt talk about God speaking to him and inviting him to reframe how he talked about his responsibilities. God spoke to me, he said. God spoke to me and said, you don't have to do this. You get to do this. I get to do my ministry. I get to work in this neighborhood. I'm rethinking everything. I love that guy. Then a black neighbor joined me sitting at a picnic table, and he talked about this motorcycle social club that meets in the building next door and how they are a brotherhood. They are a band of brothers whose life's work is to keep one another safe. And he said, we're trying to figure out how to help people get along in our neighborhood. Everyone's so angry these days. Nobody knows how to walk away from a fight. So all kinds of people from all kinds of circumstances were eating food together, gathered in a garden, and talking honestly with one another. It was like a little piece of heaven as far as I was concerned. And later I found out from my friend that the garden came about and was organized by her, a white Unitarian who has dedicated her life to justice making through community gardening, the minister from the evangelical church from across the street, the guy in the Hawaiian shirt, and the black motorcycle social club, the guy who had joined me at the picnic table. My friend commented, never in a million years did I think I would ever work with an evangelical Christian. But you know what? Christians get stuff done. Now I'm going to bet that every one of those individuals and the groups that they brought to bear on this gardening extravaganza had to be bold enough to step into their discomfort. They had to be bold enough to step into that discomfort to transform a bit of earth from an abandoned city block to a beautiful little garden. Each one of them had to weigh their past disappointments, their pain, experiences of betrayal with the uncomfortable but oh so sweet opportunity of maybe a garden. I'm sure each and every one of them had to wrestle with assumptions about the other and whether or not that other could be trusted. Now, I don't think for a minute that this garden was easy to get off the ground, so to speak, nor will it be easy to sustain. Transformation does not mean perfection frozen in time. Transformation is to live into a thriving and compassionate relationship with yourself, with your God, and your neighbor. Richard Rohr says it so well. If your religion is not helping you to transform your pain, it is junk religion. So, a question I put to myself and I ask of you this morning is, does your Unitarian Universalist religion help transform your pain? Does it help you step into your discomfort and wrestle with whatever you find there? Does it help you live into a thriving and compassionate relationship with others, with yourself, with God, or whatever you name as that which is greater than yourself? As a faith tradition, we hold that there are many paths to our connection with the divine. There are many paths to a deep and abiding spiritual life. This is one of the tenets of our faith, and it is one that makes us unique. But within that multiplicity, within that variety of spiritual truths, there are two central gestures, two patterns of faithful living that we say are important to transformation, and they work together. I don't think that you can have one without the other. The first one is, we are here to grow our souls. We are here to heal ourselves. And the second is, we are here to heal our communities, to live a life that helps to repair our community within these walls and beyond these walls. Reverend Joseph refers to these two gestures in his opening lines of the prayer. If we have any hope of transforming our lives and changing the world, we are here to grow our souls and repair the world. That is how Unitarian Universalist minister and theologian Richard Gilbert puts it. That's what we're here to do. Those are the two transformative gestures of our faith. But in order to get a toehold in either one of them, we have to get comfortable with discomfort. Discomfort is that triggering mechanism, that thing that makes our spiritual antenna perk up and say, pay attention. It asks our heart to pay attention right here where the discomfort is. Pay attention. This is the opportunity for transformation and change. There are many times I have said something akin to this to myself. I really don't like this. I really don't want to do this. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. And then I remind myself, if I can catch myself quick enough, pay attention. Pay attention. This is what it means to do the work. This is what the process of transformation feels like. Can I be okay with this? Can I sit in this unsettling, uncomfortable, maybe even painful place long enough for insight and honesty to arise? So let me talk a little bit about discomfort, because it's different for each one of us. Most of us live in a multiplicity of identities and locations within our society. You might identify as a Black, upper middle class gay man. You might identify as a white, working class woman and mother. You might identify as a Latinx transgender person. You might identify as a white divorced man with biracial children. All of us are going to have a different kind of relationship with this spiritual classroom of discomfort, because we entered that classroom through different doorways. For some of us, the very nature of our bodies, our skin color, the texture of our hair, our gender, you name it, the list goes on and on and on. For some of us, we are always in some kind of relationship with discomfort because our society has been set up to make sure that we are uncomfortable in our own skin, our own beings, our own bodies. We are meant to feel uncomfortable by design. So the practice of stepping into our discomfort might be finding a community in which we feel safe and supported in our dignity in order to work with the discomfort we experience day in and day out and gets in the way of our full humanity. We might practice touching discomfort and then stepping back, building that heart strength for the spiritual journey we're trying to undertake. We might ask, how can I drop into my heart, even in the mess of it all, and live a more connected life? A connected life with my own heart and this beloved and fraught, interconnected world. For some of us whose lives are shaped by more advantages than disadvantages, especially if we're white, we will need to work with that default coping mechanism when we experience discomfort. People and communities with systematic privileges learn to stay separated when we feel discomfort, to disconnect, to numb out, to forever and always be on the run so we never have to settle into our discomfort, to try and hold on to safety even when it goes against everything we say we believe in. Our work with discomfort is to stay in there, stay engaged, sit in the discomfort and see what bubbles up without judgment. Oh, so this is how it is. Oh, what is this about? How does this move in my body and my being? How can I drop into my heart, even in the mess of it all, and live a more connected life? For some of us who hold some power in one way or another in the groups or institutions we are a part of, our experience of discomfort can show up as rage. Rage. Discomfort makes us want to lash out, to say, that's not right. That's not how it's done. You don't know what you're talking about. For some of us, stepping into our discomfort is going to mean sitting in that red heat of our anger and discovering what is just below that initial flash point. It just might be feeling hurt. It just might be the experience of fear. We need to sit in our rage. We need to ask without judgment, what feeds it? What would allow me to ease up a bit? What would allow me to enter an exchange or a situation with a little more compassion for myself and for others? How can I drop into my heart, even in the mess of it all, and live a more connected life? I would wager that all of us will find ourselves entering the classroom of discomfort from all three of those doorways and many more over the course of our lives. But if we have any hope of transforming our lives and changing the world, if we have any hope of transforming our pain instead of projecting it onto everyone else, we have to step into our discomfort. There is no way around it. Black Buddhist and activist Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams puts it this way. My liberation demands your wholeness. And your liberation demands mine. This is how we save our lives, my friends. We must be bold enough to step into our discomfort. This is how we grow our souls and repair the world. May it be so, and amen.